The sky above planet Terran was bright blue. Twin suns warmed the silver buildings of the capital city, Valera. Birds flew high. Children laughed in the parks. Everything looked peaceful. Everything looked perfect. Commander Virel stood on the top balcony of the Tower of Knowledge. She wore a sharp blue uniform and a proud smile. She was tall, with silver eyes and skin that glowed faintly in the sun. She was one of the most respected leaders of the Terran people, brave, smart, and fearless. Today was an important day. Below her, in the Great Plaza, thousands of Terrenians waited. They were ready to witness history. A great energy machine called the core was about to be activated. It was their greatest invention. With the core, they believed they could power their planet for 1,000 years. No more fuel. No more limits. Just clean, endless energy. Her scientists said it was safe. Her advisors said it was time. But one voice said something else. A human voice. 2 days ago, a message came from Earth. A warning. The screen had shown a middle-aged human man. His voice was calm, but his face looked serious. To the people of Terran, he had said, "We studied your energy device. We understand the technology. It is similar to something we once created, and it almost destroyed our planet." Virel had frowned while watching. "We are not telling you what to do," the man continued. "But please do not activate the core. Something inside it, something deep, will not listen to your control. We beg you to wait. Let us help." The message ended. Her advisors laughed. One scientist said, "Typical humans. Always afraid of progress." Another added, "Their planet is full of fear and war. Why should we listen?" Virel had stayed quiet. For one moment, a part of her felt something. Doubt? Curiosity? Fear? She didn't know, but pride was louder. "We do not need human advice," she had finally said. "Let them fear their own machines. We will control ours." Now, standing above the crowd, she raised her hand. The people cheered. A deep voice from the speakers spoke across the city. "The core will activate in 60 seconds. In the control room, scientists stood ready. The machine was beautiful, large, silver, and floating slightly above the ground. Lights glowed on its surface. Blue energy moved inside like water under glass. Virel looked at the screen again. The human message was still there. She paused, then turned it off. "Begin," she ordered. A hum filled the air. The machine powered up. The ground vibrated slightly. Everyone looked in awe. The sky above shimmered as energy moved through the air. A giant tower next to the core lit up. One by one, systems across the planet began connecting. Then something strange happened. The hum grew louder, much louder. One scientist frowned. "That's not normal." The lights on the machine flickered red. A loud beep echoed. Another voice cried out, "The energy levels are rising too fast. What's happening?" Virel asked, stepping closer. "The core is not stabilizing," the chief engineer said. "It's drawing more power than needed. Much more." "Shut it down," Virel ordered. "We can't," someone shouted. "It's not listening." Outside, the wind changed. Trees bent. Birds scattered from the sky. A low, deep sound like a giant heartbeat rippled through the city. Suddenly, a new message appeared on the main screen. It was from the human again. His face looked even more serious now. "Please, you need to stop it. That machine is not what you think. It connects to something older, something we couldn't control. It's not just energy. It's alive." Virel's heart pounded. She looked around. The room was chaos, everyone shouting. Alarms beeping. Lights flashing. "This is impossible," she whispered. "This was supposed to work, but it wasn't working. It was breaking." A large surge of light exploded from the core. A blue wave flew out in all directions. Screens went black. Communication cut off. In the distance, one of the nearby cities lost power. Then it vanished. Not exploded, vanished. Like it was pulled into thin air. Gasps, screams, fear. Varel stared at the screen. No words came. She had refused the human's advice. And now, something terrible had begun. It began with the animals. Before the machines failed, before the buildings cracked, before the sky turned strange, the animals knew. Birds flew away in wild circles, screaming like sirens. Ground creatures dug deep and vanished. Even the skyfish, creatures that floated like clouds, dropped from the air and died silently. The planet of Terran had never seen this. Inside the Capitol Tower, Commander Varel watched through the wide glass window. Her eyes followed a flock of birds vanishing into the far clouds. Her face was still, her mind racing. All screens behind her were dead. The core had sent a pulse that killed half the grid. No connection. No control. Her lead technician whispered. We lost contact with City 9, completely. Nothing's left, not even rubble. Another voice added. And the pulse is spreading. Varel turned slowly. Her voice was cold, calm, but her heart pounded like a war drum. How far will it reach? We don't know. It's not just energy, Commander, said the technician. His eyes wide with fear. It's rewriting physics. She clenched her jaw. This wasn't just a mistake anymore. It was becoming a disaster. And she had started it. Down below, people gathered in the streets. They looked up at the sky. The twin suns had turned a strange pale color, and between them, a third shape was forming. A dark circle. No one knew what it was. Back in the control room, a scientist's voice cracked. Another signal. It's coming through. The old human message blinked back onto one of the broken screens. Static. Then the face of the human scientist appeared. Again, his tone was different, this time lower, urgent. It's begun, hasn't it? Varel stepped closer to the screen. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she answered quietly, yes, and we can't stop it. The human nodded slowly. His voice was not proud, not angry. We once built a core just like yours. We thought we could control the energy. But we didn't know it was alive. The core is not a machine, it's a prison. And now, something inside it is awake. Silence filled the room. Varel stared at him. Her voice was low and cold. Why? Didn't you tell us this part before? The human looked tired. Because we hoped we were wrong. And because when we told our own leaders, they didn't listen either. Suddenly, the ground shook. Not a normal quake, this was something different, rhythmic, like footsteps, far away, but massive. The tower trembled. Papers flew. Lights flickered. A junior officer screamed, "It's coming from the mountains." Everyone turned toward the map screen. It glitched, then returned with a live satellite feed. Mount Shira, the tallest peak on the planet, was splitting open. Red light leaked from its sides like blood from a wound. From deep within, something moved. Something with size, shape, intent. Varel's face paled. Is that ... alive? No one answered. The human spoke again from the screen. We called it the sleeper. Your core disturbed its prison. You have little time. It will feed. It will spread. And it cannot be reasoned with. Varel stepped back, her voice breaking just slightly. Then how do we fight it? The human didn't answer right away. Then quietly, you can't, but you can run. Another silence. Varel's pride screamed. She had never run from anything in her life. But now, her people's lives depended on something more than pride. She turned to her officers. Begin evacuation protocols for Sector 4 and 5. But Commander, do it now. She shouted. Outside, the skies began to swirl. The wind no longer followed nature's laws. Shapes moved in the clouds, long, dark, reaching, and still. The mountain opened wider. Deep beneath the ground, something ancient was waking. Something that remembered humans, and now it would remember Terran. Little Renya was playing with her shadow when the sky broke. She was 6 years old. Her school was closed because of the strange energy storms, so her mother told her to stay indoors. But Renya loved the sunlight. She tiptoed outside the shelter and danced in the soft, golden light of the twin suns. She didn't see the dark ring forming overhead. She didn't hear the scream of the sky. But she felt something, a cold touch on her back. Like the air had stopped breathing. She looked up, and then she ran. Far above the city, Commander Virel stood aboard the emergency skiff. The military vessel hovered over Sector 9. A camera drone flew ahead, feeding live images to her screen. She watched as City Varnies, once the crown jewel of Terran, began to unravel. At first, it looked like fog rolling in. Then the fog moved up the buildings. Then the buildings started to vanish. Not explode, not fall, just erase. As if something was unwriting the city from reality. Streets twisted. Glass melted. Trees turned to black dust. One entire skyscraper folded inward like paper and disappeared. And the sound, not thunder, not wind, it was a deep whisper, layered with many voices. More. Feed. Open. Virel's hands trembled. She gripped the console. Behind her, General Lorak shouted, "Evacuation transports are full. The rest are trapped." Virel stared at the chaos below. Renya's mother, a nurse, tried to drag her child into a rescue van. Renya screamed and pointed behind them. The street itself bent upward like a wave, and then a massive shape rose from the center of the city. It wasn't fully solid. Not yet, just a form half light, half shadow. Like a creature trying to remember how to be real. It had no eyes, but it was looking. The sleeper had found its first city. In the skiff, Virel shouted, "Fire missiles now!" A barrage of energy blasts struck the shadow. It screamed a horrible multi-layered sound. The wind turned black. The sky cracked, but it wasn't hurt. It grew. "What is this thing?" Lorak whispered. Virel didn't answer. Her voice was locked somewhere in her throat. Then the human's voice came through her comlink again. "Now you see it," he said. "Now you understand why we warned you." Virel didn't argue this time. Her voice was low and hollow. "What do we do?" "You slow it down," he said. "Keep it from reaching your core station. If it merges with that power source, it won't just destroy cities. It will wake others like it. And if that happens, your world ends." Below, a rescue ship exploded mid-air as the shadow reached it. Virel slammed her fist down. "I'm going down there." Lorak blocked her. "It's suicide." But she pushed past him. "I started this. I'm not watching from above while children die." On the ground, Renya and her mother ran through streets of dust and screams. Buildings collapsed around them. Gravity twisted, sometimes pulling sideways, sometimes not at all. A shadow hand stretched from the sky, reaching toward them. Just before it touched, a bright beam cut through it. Virel's skiff landed like a lightning strike. Doors opened. Soldiers jumped out, weapons ready. Virel stepped down, lifted Renya in her arms, and ran for the open hatch. She didn't look back. As the skiff rose again, the shadow form let out a shriek that cracked the windows of nearby towers. Half the city was gone now. And the sleeper was still hungry. Back in the command ship, Virel placed Renya into her mother's arms. The little girl looked up at her and whispered, "Is it going to eat the whole world?" Virel knelt down, her voice soft. "No, not if I can stop it." But even as she said it, her heart was breaking. She looked out the window. One city had already fallen. How many more would follow? The sky was cracked, not broken like glass, but fractured like a forgotten mirror. Strange black lines now ran through the clouds, moving slowly, alive. No one knew what they were. Some said they were scars. Some said they were eyes. Virel walked through the dead city in silence. Her boots crunched over ash and shattered metal. Buildings around her leaned like broken teeth. Streetlights flickered, fighting for power that no longer existed. She wore no rank, no armor, no guards, only a long black coat and a small energy pistol hidden inside her boot. This meeting had to be quiet. Not everyone in her council approved of speaking to the humans. Too late for pride now, she thought. She passed a burned-out school. Children's toys lay half-melted in the dust. A stuffed animal stared at the sky with one missing eye. The location was marked on a broken map, an old library bunker. Buried under the ruins of a science station. She reached the door. A rusted plate slid aside. A red scanner blinked. Then turned green. A voice crackled through a speaker. Come in alone. No weapons. She stepped inside. The air inside was cold, damp, silent. Old lights flickered on, one by one, revealing a narrow tunnel that led underground, and at the far end stood a human. Dr. Elias Ward looked older than his recordings. Lines on his face, gray at his temples. His eyes were sharp but tired, like a man who'd seen too much and then believed too little. Virel stopped 5 steps away. Her hand stayed near her boot. You came, he said. She looked around. I didn't have a choice. No one ever does. Not until the damage is already done. She narrowed her eyes. This isn't a lecture. I'm here for answers. Ward nodded slowly. And I'm here to give them. But first, do you believe me now? Virel didn't speak for a moment. Then I watched a city vanish. I saw my people erased like chalk from stone. Yes, I believe you. Then you're already braver than most of your kind, Ward said. Virl stepped forward. What is it? The sleeper. What do you know? Ward turned and activated a projector. A 3D image appeared, an old star map, marked with red circles and ancient glyphs. This is not just about your core or your planet. This is about something much older. He pointed to a blinking red zone, a long time ago, before humanity. New space. Another species built machines like your core. They believed they could harvest the energy of the universe. But instead, they tapped into something else. Into what? Virel asked. Ward looked at her with cold eyes. Into the dark between stars, the empty places, where light never went. He zoomed in. The star map began to burn away, replaced by a shadowy shape moving like a serpent made of storms. They called them the Forgotten, not creatures, not machines, something between. We think they were imprisoned, not by accident, but by design. Virel whispered, our core was never a power source. It was a lock. And now you've opened it, Ward said. And the thing inside, the sleeper, it's not the only one. A long silence fell. Then Virel asked, can it be stopped? Ward sighed. Yes, but only delayed. You don't kill something that doesn't live the way we understand it. He turned toward her. But there's a way to seal the prison again. How? Ward looked at her seriously. You'll need a secondary core. And you'll need to power it with something stronger than fusion. Something alive. Virel stepped back. You want to sacrifice life? No, Ward said. I want to use human and Terran biofrequency together, one from each species. It's the only thing that can bind the lock. Virel's mind raced. The cost would be high. She knew what he was saying. A binding, a blood seal, a life-for-life connection. She took a deep breath. Who would be the second key? Ward didn't answer. She looked at him carefully. You came here knowing you wouldn't leave, didn't you? Ward smiled softly. I've already lived long enough. But your people still have time. Virel looked away. For the first time in years, she didn't feel like a commander. She felt like a soldier, alone, small and angry. They won't let me do this, she said. Then don't ask permission, Ward replied. Ask forgiveness. Later. Above ground, the sky pulsed again. A low hum echoed through the broken buildings. The sleeper had begun to move again north. Toward the core's heart. Time was running out. And now, Virel had a secret and a choice. He watched her from the shadows, not the kind made by buildings or moons, but the kind that lived in people. The kind that grew in silence, behind masks, beneath loyalty. General Tavik stood in the control chamber of the central defense tower, hidden from the cameras. The city outside still burned at the edges, ash falling like snow. He'd served under Virel for 12 years. He had once trusted her, even admired her, but now she had crossed a line. Commander Virel entered the chamber, her steps fast and heavy. Her face was pale. Dust covered her coat. Her eyes sharper than ever. Tavik stepped forward from the dark. "You're late," he said calmly. "I had matters to handle," she replied without stopping. "With a human," he said. Louder now. Virel paused. The room went still. She turned slowly to face him. "Yes, with a human. The same one who warned us before the sleeper awoke. And yet, you went behind your counsel's back. You disappeared for hours. You brought nothing but panic when you returned," Tavik said. His tone wasn't angry, just cold, measured, like a judge passing sentence. "I brought answers," she said. "And I brought a way to stop this thing." Tavik raised one brow. "And that way involves what?" "Trusting the very species who let this thing out centuries ago." Virel stepped closer, lowering her voice. "We don't have time for politics. This isn't about trust. It's about survival." Tavik didn't move. "And who decides that survival path?" "I do," she said. "I'm still the commander." "But..." Tavik had already pressed the silent alarm behind his back. Moments later, armed guards entered the room. Tavik's voice rang out, strong and official. "By order of the High Council, Commander Virel is hereby relieved of command for acts of unauthorized diplomacy, spreading fear, and destabilizing order in a time of planetary crisis." The guards raised their weapons. Virel didn't flinch. She looked at Tavik with something between sadness and fire. "You think I'm the threat?" Tavik spoke without emotion. "No, but you believe the humans are the solution. That's almost worse. They locked her in the deep vault, a prison made to hold war criminals. Not because she was guilty, but because she knew too much. In the cell, the walls hummed quietly, blocking all communication. No light, no noise from outside, just her heartbeat and the memory of Dr. Ward's words echoing in her mind. "You won't have time to convince them. They will turn on you before they understand." He was right, but he didn't say what to do when everyone turned against you. Outside, Tavik stood before the council, presenting his version of control. He spoke of calm, of order, of action through strength, and he announced a bold plan. "We will reactivate the core, overload it. Use it to destroy the sleeper before it grows any stronger." The room applauded, but one voice remained silent. Captain Rallan Virel's oldest friend. Later that night, she broke into the deep vault with a stolen keycard and a shock blade. Virel sat calmly as the door hissed open. "Took you long enough," she whispered. Rallan smiled. "You're lucky I'm still loyal to logic." As alarms rang in the distance, the two women ran through underground tunnels beneath the capital. The core was being prepared for overload. Tavik's plan would not stop the sleeper. It would feed. Virel's voice was low as they ran. "If they activate the core again, the sleeper will merge with it. Then nothing will stop it, not humans, not weapons, not gods." Rallan asked, "Then what do we do?" Virel didn't hesitate. "We find the second core. We find Ward, and we finish what I started." Above them, thunder roared from a clear sky. The sleeper was listening now, and so were the traitors. It had no eyes, but it saw. It did not know language, but it remembered fear and screams and the taste of stars. The sleeper had waited in silence for thousands of years, locked beneath layers of stone and steel, forgotten by the galaxy, abandoned by the ones who created it, because even they feared what it could become. Now, The lock was broken. It had felt the core's pulse. A heartbeat. A signal. A call. It was not fully awake yet. But each city it touched, each life it consumed, brought it closer. Soon it would have form. Soon it would have voice. Soon it would be remembered. Far away, on the edge of the core valley, Virel and Rowland rode a stolen hoverskiff over cracked terrain. The land glowed faintly beneath them, rivers of unstable energy pulsing through the ground. Like veins in a dying planet, the final core station stood ahead, a tall black tower, humming with heat. A storm circled it like a crown. Inside, Tavik's team was preparing for full activation. If they succeeded, the sleeper would bond with the core permanently, and everything would be lost. Virel looked at Rowland. We're out of time. Then we stop pretending we're not at war, Rowland said, drawing her weapon. Inside the tower, chaos had a rhythm. Technicians moved like ghosts, tired, overworked, but loyal to Tavik. Massive cooling vents blasted superheated air, energy. Readings blinked red on every screen. Tavik stood at the center, watching the core's spinning heart. It floated in a chamber of magnetic rings, glowing brighter than ever before. The air smelled of static and metal. Prepare for full sync, he said. 5 minutes to full charge, a tech replied. Tavik closed his eyes. This was it. The last move. He didn't notice the silent alarm. He didn't know Virel was already inside. Virel moved through the ventilation shafts, one level above the control deck. Every step felt heavier, partly from the heat, partly from the weight of what she was about to do. Dr. Ward's voice echoed in her memory. You'll need to bind with it. A human and a Terran together. That's the only way to seal the lock. Again, alive. She knew what that meant now. It wasn't just about power. It was sacrifice. Rowland crouched beside her. We don't have the firepower to stop them from here. We don't need fire, Virel whispered. We need a signal. She activated the transmitter Ward gave her. It sent out a short, encrypted pulse. Only one man could hear it. In the ruins beneath the tower, Dr. Ward opened his eyes. The signal had reached him. He stepped into a lift chamber, breathing slowly. This was his final walk. Back in the control room, a siren blared. Tavik spun around. What now? A voice crackled through the comms, Virel's voice. Tavik, stop the activation. You're walking into its mouth. Tavik snarled. You're a traitor. You're finished. Virel stepped into the chamber, weapon raised. Rowland beside her, all eyes turned. Silence followed, until the walls began to vibrate. Not from machines, from something outside. The sleeper had arrived. A section of the wall exploded outward. A black tendril reached in, twisting, pulsing with dark energy. People screamed. Lights blew out. Tavik shouted, Fire the core! Now! But Dr. Ward entered at that moment. No! He yelled. Everything stopped. Ward stepped into the chamber beside Virel. This is the only way, he said. He turned to the technicians. Prepare for override. Manual seal, dual biological lock now. You're too late, Tavik. Hist. Virel walked to the core chamber. She looked back once at Rowland, at the frightened staff, at the burning sky beyond the glass. Then she and Ward stepped inside. Inside the core. It felt like standing in the center of lightning. Machines screamed. Light tore around them. The sleeper pressed against the walls from outside, its form becoming more solid. Virel and Ward reached out, palms flat against the energy node. Terran and human, Ward said. Willing and aware, Virel whispered. Their voices merged. We bind the lock, with mind, with blood, with memory. A surge of white light shot outward. The sleeper screamed. And for a moment, everything went still. Outside the tower, Tavik watched in silence as the storm broke apart. The sky cleared, but the cost. Inside the chamber, only one figure stood. VIRL. Alone. Her skin burned, her legs weak. But she was alive. Ward was gone. The sleeper was gone too. For now, the girl planted a seed where the city used to be. The ground was cracked. Ash still drifted in the air. The ruins of Sector 9 stretched across the horizon. Silent towers, melted roads, memories in rubble. But the girl, Renya, didn't care about that. She had a seed in her hand. And a hole she had dug with a broken spoon. And she believed something could still grow. Commander Varel watched her from a distance. No, not commander anymore. That title had been left behind in the core. She stood quietly, wrapped in a long gray shawl, her legs stiff from the burn injuries. Her skin bore lines of light, now scars from the energy surge. That didn't heal the way normal wounds did. She looked older, not in her face, but in her silence. They called it the saving. No parades, no medals. Just silence, then slow rebuilding. The sleeper was gone, locked again, buried in light and sealed by sacrifice. Dr. Ward's body was never found. Only a faint human imprint left behind in the core chamber, like a memory burned into glass. The tower itself collapsed days later, and with it, the era of Terran arrogance. Varel lived in the quiet hills now, outside the capital ruins. She spoke little, accepted no guests, refused interviews, but some said they saw her at night, walking barefoot under the stars, touching the trees as if listening to their roots. They said she could hear something beneath the soil. They said she still felt it, the thing she sealed away. One evening, a young Terran officer named Solon found her outside the old core valley. He approached carefully. "Lady Varel," he said softly. She didn't look at him, just kept watching the mist roll over the hills. "You don't need to call me that," she said. He hesitated, then offered her a small data crystal. "The humans sent this," he explained. "It's a message. From Earth, personal." Varel took it but said nothing. He turned to leave. "Do they hate me?" she asked suddenly. Solon turned back. "No," they said. "They understand." That night, alone in her cabin, she played the message. A woman's voice filled the room, calm, warm. "Varel, we lost someone too. But because of you, both our worlds survived. We rebuilt once, long ago. You can too. And this time not alone. If you ever visit Earth, the stars will welcome you. And so will we." Varel sat in the dark long after the message ended. Then slowly, for the first time in weeks, she smiled. The next morning, she returned to the city ruins. She found Renya planting another seed, this one with a real shovel. Varel knelt beside her, stiffly. "What is it this time?" she asked. "Tree of windfruit," Renya grinned. "They grow fast." "Even in broken soil?" Varel asked. Renya looked up, wiping dirt from her cheek. "Especially in broken soil," she said. Varel stared at the tiny seedling poking out of the ash. Trembled in the wind, small but alive, defiant, just like the people of Terran, just like the humans. Just like her, she had refused the humans' advice. She had paid the painful price. But she had also earned something rare, a second chance, and she would not waste it.